Good morning everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Simply Beautiful with Emma. It's a bit of a coffee chat I'm going to have with you this morning. Oh, I'm creaking on my chair. I've got a new chair and I'm creaking on it. I'm going to stop now. There, I'm stopped. New camera as well, so you can probably see all my lumps and bumps and everything else now. So I'm trying to be a proper YouTuber. It's very exciting. What I'm going to talk to you about today are my lips. You might be able to see from this distance, I'm going to do a close-up in a minute, that I have some bruising here on my lips. I've got no lipstick on, and that's because I took the plunge and I had lip fillers last Saturday with a fantastic aesthetic nurse. I'm going to tell you all about the process. I'm going to tell you why I decided to have it. I'm going to show you some photos. I'm not going to show you the process because I know a lot of people are very triggered and very scared of needles. So I'm not going to show you any footage or any pictures of me in the chair having it done. And I'm going to show you some pictures of it just after and a couple of days after, and they do look a little bit swollen, a little bit bruised, but there's no blood, there's no needles, there's nothing for you to worry about. But I thought it was time to tell you all about these lips. So why did I want to have lip fillers? It's actually been since I've been doing these videos. When I look in the mirror and kind of, you know, put on my lipstick and stuff, actually my lips are okay. They sort of look reasonably full and not too bad. And obviously I wear makeup a lot of the time. I certainly, you know, didn't love my lips. I didn't think they were my best feature, but they were fine. It's really since I've been doing these videos and I noticed that when I was talking, my top lip would disappear. And certainly I've never, it sounds so stupid because I'm quite a happy person generally and I smile a lot. I've never liked my smile. We were always famous in our school, me and my brothers. We never showed our teeth when we smiled, and we'd always sort of, you know, half smile. We never did a big kind of cheesy grin. And certainly I kind of avoided doing a big cheesy grin in photos because my top lip would kind of disappear. So I don't remember what particular point I suddenly thought, well, that's it, I want to have lip fillers. But I sort of started looking around a little bit, and I came across an aesthetic practice in Exmouth, which is about 15 miles away from here. I did lots of other research. There are plenty of places local to me in Exeter and Exmouth and Taunton. In fact, Exeter is I believe, a little sort of centre of excellence really in plastic surgery and things like that. So it wasn't hard to find different people, but there was just something about this website that I liked the way it was set up. I liked the name of the business, and the business was called A Little Enhancement, which is what I wanted. I didn't necessarily want my lips to look completely different. I just wanted them to look a little bit better. So I sort of did my research and I looked around and I thought, okay, if I'm going to have this done, what kind of lip fillers do I want? And there are different kinds. You can have very soft little rubber implants put in. Now the benefit of those is that you don't have to have anything redone. Once it's been, my glasses are filthy. Once you've had that done, they can stay in kind of forever and a day. Obviously, if you don't like them, they've got to be removed. Obviously there are all sorts of things, collagen and all sorts of things. No, worse, I'm going to leave them on. There are loads of things like collagen and stuff that have been used over the years. What I really liked the look of with the business that I went with was they use Juvederm, and there are two big names that I'm aware of in the market, Juvederm and Restylane. And they use slightly different formulations, but certainly Juvederm, they use a base ingredient of hyaluronic acid in their lip fillers. Now I, as a skincare person, and it's probably something if you've watched any of my videos, it's taking my hair, it's rained loads here today and I've got wet about 4 times. And look, one side of my hair goes under and one side goes out. And little aside, I will get back to my story. We were on holiday years and years ago and my big tall teenager was a little girl, and we paid for her to have a little portrait done, and he painted her with hair that goes under one side and out the other, and we thought that's really odd. We'd never even noticed it. So hereditarily, this is what we do. Anyway, Yes, so anyway, I wanted hyaluronic acid because it's something that the body produces itself. I apply all the time topically to myself and all my clients. It's a synthesized but based on a natural product. So it's highly unlikely to cause any reaction. And I think from memory, my nurse said to me that they have not had a recorded allergic reaction in this country. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but I think that's what she said to me. But also kind of the worst case scenario from a look is that you don't follow the aftercare and it's absorbed too quickly into the body because the body's happy to have it, and you don't get that fullness and that shape that you want. So that to me sounded like the least sort of risky procedure. So I made an appointment to go and see this young lady, this nurse, down in Exmouth, and I went in and had a nice consultation with her, and she sort of said, what is it that you want to change about your lips? And I said, well, because generally I'm quite a happy person, I'm looking at myself now for a minute. What I was noticing, you can't really see it now because I had them done, but my mouth was slightly drooping at the corners. So these lines were only getting worse. We call them like puppet lines or marionette lines, as if you were kind of Pinocchio. And also because in my family we're prone to jowling. That's one of our signs of aging, is that the flesh, and it doesn't matter if you're skinny or overweight like me, it's a family thing. So the lower part of the face does drop a lot more, which is then pulling the sides of the mouth down, which makes my mouth look a little bit sad when I'm not smiling. And also I was finding when I smiled or when I talked that my top lip was disappearing. I didn't particularly want big glamorous pillow lips. That wasn't what it was about. It was kind of just having fresher looking lips that held their shape. My nurse was fantastic. She taught me through the whole thing, showed me lots of befores and afters. She explained to me the options, and we decided there are a couple of different Juvederm fillers, and we decided on me to go for the Ultra, which sounds scary dairy, but it's not. Ultra has a slightly stronger hold. It feels slightly firmer when it's finished, but it does hold that volume. If you are looking more for lines to be filled, because that's another thing that lip fillers can do, if you had very corrugated sort of lines around the mouth, then there is another one, I can't think of the name of it, something Flow, but that is a slightly softer finish, but that will help plump out the lines a little bit more. And it wasn't really lines that were my issue, so we decided to go with the Ultra. Tiny amounts. So we discussed it and we decided on 1 ml. So that's all she was going to use, 1 ml of this hyaluronic gel injected into my lips. And I came away and I made an appointment then it was last Saturday. The cost, I can't remember how much it is. I believe it's £260 to have 1 ml of product put in, and this effect then lasts between 6 and 12 months, which to me sounded pretty good. That's fine by me. So I sort of made an appointment a bit further down the line, saved up, and I went and had it done on Saturday. So I went along and we recapped what we talked about to make sure that we were both still happy, you know, that my nurse knew what she was doing with me, that I was still happy with what I wanted, and we had a little chat, and she obviously removed my makeup and anything that I had left on my skin, and then she put a thick layer of numbing cream on my lips, and it felt a little bit like when you go to the dentist, and my lips did feel big and numb, most peculiar sensation, and she left that on there. I was so relaxed, I was just lying on the bed, because obviously that's what I do to people all the time, is I sort of make them lie on the bed. So actually it's quite nice for me. I just lay there and she was off preparing bits and pieces. And obviously I had done all my consultation at that point, all the before and after, all the aftercare, everything had been gone through with me. I had signed to say that I understood the procedure, I understood the aftercare, and I'll talk about the aftercare and stuff in a minute. And so yeah, so the numbing cream. So that stayed on for probably, I think for about 15 minutes, something like that. And then my nurse came back in and said, are we ready to go? And I think she sat or stood behind me. So she didn't come at me from the front, so you can't see anything. I'm not going to talk too much about needles because I know people don't like it. But she wasn't coming at me from the front. I was lying down, I had my eyes closed. It was a little bit like being at the dentist. I have seen some sort of, you know, Real Housewife things where they're sort of sat up in a chair and they're being sort of injected from the front and they can see it all coming. And this was very nice. So I was lying back with my eyes closed and she would just touch my face, and that's where she would do the injection. There were 8 injections, which, as you can appreciate, would be tiny amounts because 1 mil in 8 increments is a tiny amount. It was uncomfortable. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't. It was briefly uncomfortable. It's exactly the same as if you have, I was thinking about this today. It's worse than giving blood, but it's nowhere near as bad as giving birth. That's my phrase. You can have that, Juvederm. So you know, when if you're having a blood test, they show sharp scratch. Well, this was a sharp scratch and a little bit, but it was over very quickly, and there was no discomfort afterwards. The most uncomfortable area was up here in the top, but that's where all the muscles and nerves are, and I know that because obviously I'm a beauty therapist, and when I'm waxing people, frequently the top lip is the most uncomfortable thing, and I should imagine that this. I would say that this is less uncomfortable than having a top lip waxed if you find it difficult because it's so quick. So yeah, I had my 8 little injections, and as we were going along, she was checking, she was coming down to the front, she was feeling where she was going. At one point she had a little look, and then she just I think she put a tiny bit more in one side than the other because I naturally have a slightly more drop lip over there. And in less than, you know, probably in a couple of minutes, it was all done. And that was that. So she cleaned all the numbing cream and everything off. The numbing cream must have helped. It didn't stop it being uncomfortable, but I can only assume it made it less uncomfortable than it needed to be. Certainly the top, you know, you didn't feel the injection from every second. It obviously numbed those top layers of the skin. I think there was a little bit of blood. I don't think it was nothing, you know, if you give blood, or if you have a blood test, you bleed a little bit. So there's nothing excessive. It wasn't covered. It wasn't anything drastic. It was just a case of, you know, a bit of cotton wool. And by the time, probably about 5 minutes after she finished, tidied me up, just said, just lie there for a minute. Because obviously some people, if they have something done, can go a bit woozy. I didn't. I sat up and I had a look, and I could see them, and obviously you've got an instant result because that filler is placed in there. So what I'm going to do now is, hopefully I'm going to have a little so what I'm going to do now is have a little So what I'm going to do now is have a little slideshow of how they looked from sort of first day. And actually on the first day, straight after I had them done, to be honest, I put lipstick on and I went out. They were more swollen the next morning, and then the bruising and stuff came out. So here I am. So this is day, you can look at the bruising there. So Saturday 1, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm on day 6 now. They are more or less the shape they're going to be, but with some bruising. So I'm going to run those pictures for you now, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more. So you've seen the progression, the swelling and the bruising. The bruising, obviously it's quite dark today, but what's happening is it's kind of withdrawing. It was much a wider area and it wasn't so dark, but it can still be covered with makeup. I've been out, I've been doing stuff. The bruising isn't difficult to cover with makeup, so please don't panic. And the bruising is entirely normal. My nurse told me that, I researched that. It is what it is. These are tender tissues, and any kind of injection, I mean, you know what it's like if you bite your lip or bump your lip, it swells up like crazy. So I wasn't put off by it. I went out that night, and of all things, I went to a comedy night. So actually it was a little bit uncomfortable laughing and trying not to sort of stretch my mouth because it felt a little bit tender. So of all the things to go to, probably not a comedy night. But other than that, you can get on with life. I think, you know, see how I get on. I'm very early, but when they've reduced back to where I was before, and they do say, I've done some research, you actually, whenever it's, whether it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months that I have a little top up, it usually takes less to get you back to where you were, which is great. So then you might be able to save a little bit of money because you might only need half a mil or 3/4 of a mil. So the aftercare, that night, basically you want to keep them hydrated, so lots of lip balm. The main thing though, because the bruising and stuff is the first few days, you can go straight and wear lipstick, you can do whatever you want. My nurse said to me for the first 2 to 3 weeks, avoid prolonged exposure to hot, humid conditions. So maybe not have it done the week before you go to Costa Rica on a holiday, or don't use steam rooms or saunas, things like that, because the warmth, the heat will encourage the body artificially to absorb the product. So we don't want to encourage that, because there's nothing toxic, there's no toxicity with it being absorbed. It's just that you're going to lose that fullness that you've gone through the procedure to have. So while the product is settling into the tissues where it's been placed, and it's just going to sit there and dissipate very slowly over the months, we don't want to speed up that process while it's settling in and being sort of welcomed and absorbed into the tissues. So yeah, I'm really happy. So basically what is happening is, so from my side profile you can see I have that lift now. So I do look a little bit different when I talk because my lip is forward now, whereas before my lip was just moving over my lips, my teeth. My lips are now in front of my mouth. So it just means when I'm talking, I have a lip, and when I smile, you can still see my lip, that doesn't disappear completely. I have got a little bit more fullness in the bottom. My nurse did just put a little bit there because otherwise if the top lip is bigger and the bottom lip doesn't get any bigger, it can look a little bit artificial, because normally our lips don't match. Our top lip is slightly narrower than our bottom lip. So that was just to keep that natural look. And then obviously she's injected into the corners. So now it's actually quite hard for, well, not hard, but I've got to think about it, and I've got to work harder to get my mouth to droop. It's much easier now for me to smile than it is to do anything else, because now my mouth is much more at a horizontal rest, as opposed to it was definitely more of a droop at the corners. So I am really happy, really happy. I think people have noticed I've had it done. I think when I talk, which I do all the time, nobody's looked horrified. I think my husband and my daughter were very reticent about me having it because they're very lovely and they said I didn't need it. And also they didn't want me to come back looking odd or peculiar or, you know, totally different. So I think they were both mightily relieved that the results are quite subtle. And I think actually, you know, Mr. Simply Beautiful, you know, seems to think they look nice and they're fine. It's really just for me, and when I'm doing these videos and stuff, just to keep that top lip. It's just, I'm a makeup girl, and when your top lip starts going, you can't have so much fun with lipstick. So this was not anything to do with me hating myself, disliking myself. Everybody knows I am a pretty positive person. Everybody knows nobody looks after their skin more than I do. But I have always said never say never about getting a little bit of help, because good skincare will get you most of the way. but a little bit of a little enhancement, which is what I loved about this business, can just sometimes give you that little finish, that thing that just gives you a little bit of a spring in your step. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any questions, then do put some comments down below and I can answer you. I hope nobody's been triggered by this. I've tried to be really sensitive and not talk too much about the actual medical bit of it, because I know some people find that difficult to talk about. This is not me telling anybody they should have this done. This is not me telling anyone they shouldn't have it done. This is just like everything else on this channel, me explaining something, how it relates to me, and hopefully how it makes sense to somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s, if they've just got this idea in their head that they might like to have something done, and hopefully it's answered a couple of questions and will lead you to do some research yourself. So thank you for watching as ever. There's something quite exciting coming up. There's something which is quite exciting for me and my beauty business, which I'm going to be sharing with you all quite soon. So watch this space, and don't forget to subscribe down below if you like my videos and you want me to know that you're out there. Thanks guys, bye.